Assalamu alaikum. This podcast has been brought to you by SeekersGuidance, the global Islamic seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. As little as $10 a month can help people find life-changing guidance.
Can you give Muslim sisters in non-Muslim countries some guidelines when it comes to hijab? Wearing our black abaya can be very catchy, which defeats the purpose of hijab, and many of us are having to restrict our activities so we don't put ourselves in physical danger, especially these days with what's happening politically and Islamophobia. So, what are some guidelines regarding?
So the question about hijab and dress guidelines, there is no specific religious obligation to wear a black abaya, right? The command for both men and women is that one cover what is considered one's awra, right? Which is to cover what must be covered for a man, for a woman, and that one do so in a manner that is modest and dignified. So, and anything that fulfills, covering what must be covered in a modest and dignified manner, fulfills the divine command. Right? There's not one mode of dress, and there's not one particular type or style of clothing that is required in order to do so. So it does not have. There's no particular color. Right? There's no inherent merit in wearing black or wearing a single color, etc. However, and we have a number of answers related to this. What must be covered, which for a man is from navel to knee, and for a woman, meaning in front of strangers, is everything besides the face, hands, and in the Hanafi school, the feet. For a woman, that anything that covers that and does so in a modest and dignified way would be basically sufficient. So that gives a lot of leeway in how that command is fulfilled. And if one looks for example and inspiration across the Muslim world, the different types of dress that traditionally was considered modest and dignified that fulfilled that was very variegated. And even in terms of colors, I was reading some North African scholars are actually quite critical of, there's no religious expectation nor merit in a Muslim woman in Tunisia, for example, or Libya, dressing like a woman in Saudi. There's nothing in the modes by which the command is fulfilled are many. They say also practically that if you think you're a doormat, people will walk all over you, right? That one religiously needs to be steadfast on what one knows to be the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One fulfills that command in a sensitive manner, in a manner that takes into place the society and related considerations. But when it comes to the divine command, one should be aware, okay, these are the limits and these are the underlying values that one is striving to uphold, and one upholds them, and one should have the confidence to be able to do so. Right? And part of what gives one the strength to be able to do so is that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Alaykum bil jama'ah, be in community. Wa iyyakum wal furqa, and beware of being alone. For the shaitan is close to the one alone, is more distant from two. Whoever seeks the vast expanses of paradise, let them be with the community." Right? If one tries to practice one's religion, and particularly things that one may find challenging, just out there in the weeds on one's own, it's easy to feel very overwhelmed by it. But if one practices one's religion in the context of community of others with common concern, with common commitment, who also believe in upholding that guidance and those values, then that gives one the strength and commitment to do so. As a believer, we should also be aware of the society that we're in and the rights that it accords us. Right? And one, as an individual in the community, one should stand up for those rights, not just for oneself, but also actively stand up for the rights of others to practice their, to have the freedom of religion and freedom of religious practice, etc. So that's something we have to be very careful that be, that be guarded. And the other aspect that the ulama mentioned regarding dress and conduct is that modesty in dress does not entail sternness in conduct. Right? That they say that if you have good character, you can get away with pretty much anything. Right? That if you're a nice person, people really ultimately wouldn't care how you behave. Right? I have a friend who was a very successful IT professional. He used to go to work in shalwar kameez and a big messy turban. I said, how do you pull that off? He said, I'm just good at what I do and I try to be a nice guy about it. As if you're really good at what you do and you're really nice to those around you, do whatever you want. And those are two things in terms of our conduct, that whatever we do, we should, the believer strives to be a person of excellence, right? In one's work, etc. One's a person of excellence. And number two, to uphold good character, right? To be friendly and cheerful and helpful and caring and so on. To uphold these sunnahs of social conduct and to place one's trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to worry. The solution isn't just to say, well, it's difficult, so I won't do it. Because then religion is not possible to. And then one's chipping away at one's own religion and its sustainability.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seekers Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit SeekersGuidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit SeekersGuidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.